Miss Bluehair has something to say, everybody, she began, and we all waited. Vegetables are meant for rabbits and horses.
Eat your vegetables!
Hello, friends. Trace amounts of science. We're back into Don't Send Your Kids to Daycare part number 2 today. Part 1, sort of a banger, not gonna lie. I'd like to encourage more of that writing, and these things are starting to pile up, so let's get it knocked out today, shall we? Thanks so much for being here. Don't Send Your Kids to Daycare, Part 2, Smoke Machine, by user It's Not Gay, It's Science.
What kind of name is that?
But still, the greatest thing ever. So glad you guys enjoyed the last story. I will keep it a Reddit exclusive because I doubt anyone else could truly do the tale justice. I don't know, there's a few people. Walter Fate, he's really the only other Reddit person I watch though. Who else puts as much soul into the narration? Well, that's true. Walter Fate kinda does sound sort of monotone, a little soulless. Sorry, Walter. I used to watch a lot of Reddit channels. Now, only ReddX remains. Well, me and Noble Xenon. I guess it's just a matter of do you like talking a lot in the middle or no? Some people really don't. OP continues, ReddX is the only one that feels like a real person. And to that I say, fooled ya.
Shit. Got your ass.
You had no idea I was an AI simulation this entire time. Anyway, I wanted to let you know that I appreciate your appreciation, and with that said, I figure we should kick this thing off ASAP. I won't cover previous parts, there is no cast list. Try to keep up. I like that style. We do things and we do them fast. I ain't got time for all that other horse shit. I could learn something here. Tumblrina wandered in from her ultra-extended, nearly 2 or 3 hour unintended break, smelling like an ashtray. Oh yeah, that's great for the kids. And I do believe that she had at least another new cigarette burn or two in her oversized Tweety Bird t-shirt. I guess it's hard to stop from immolating yourself while you're screeching along to generic anime intros at the top of your lungs. I know people are going to ask what animes. It's an inevitable question. Can you download Shazam and specify one of the animes, please? Thank you. I didn't have the energy to even look at her. My hands were still shaking, but I did my best to hide that fact from the kids as we prepped for lunch. Besides, we didn't have snack yet. We're so hungry, teacher. Please? Where the cookies? That little goblin kid.
Mama, may I have cookie?
No, Diabito. Roll back to kitchen.
Oh.
The chorus of hungry mouths began to sing a dissonant tune. I wanted to point at Tumblrina and scream that she was the reason for everyone's misfortune today, including my own. But instead, I patted the kids on the back and cooed, "I'm so sorry, we will get you something to eat right now." That is what it's like to deal with a 2-year-old, man. If they don't have their nap and their food, they're gonna melt down in a big way. Coworker was due to arrive at any moment, and we were hurriedly setting the table so we could get these kids fed and hopefully salvage the day from the disaster that Tumblrina had inflicted. I should have known that she wasn't done being a disaster. At a certain point, I'm not sure Tumblrina can help herself. Her destructive nature is inborn, like Godzilla, but less tall and more wide. She's just a force of nature. There needs to be some chaos in the world. It's all part of the delicate balance. And when I say we set the table, I mean me and the older kids. Tumblrina continued to do her best impression of a bump on a log. Didn't you just throw a potato head at her? It was enough motivation to get her inside and that's it? OP questions, how is it even possible to watch every capable person in the room setting a table and to just continue standing there? Has she elevated herself to a supervisory role? I was totally going to say that joke. Or are her neurons just so clogged with nicotine and slop food that they refuse to fire? Yeah, tar's a hell of a thing, you know? I like to think that this started long before the nicotine, long before the slop food. She came out of mom and she was quiet. Those neurons never started firing, but then she started walking around and we're like, well, I guess we can't just throw her away now. It's been however many years later, and I will advocate. It's still not too late to throw her away. Why are you just standing there?
What are you doing?
Me? Just hanging around.
And OP needs to point it out, too. Although they're both probably still boiling a little bit. You know, you don't want to start a fist fight in front of the kids or something. Anyway, a mystery for another day, I suppose. I didn't want to start a scene in front of the kids, again, so I began very cautiously. Tumblrina, would you like to come and help us set the table for lunch? No thanks, I'm good, was her reply. Bitch. Frustrating, but we are not going to leave it there. I'm pretty sure it's part of your job to help us. Please come and do it. Now. Yeah, that good old parent voice. It works 100% of the time on kids and 80% of the time on mental children. You know, the big people with the little brains. Oh boy, cue the righteous indignation. Why do you cis white women always think you can order people around? You're worse than white men, because you want to pretend to be an ally when in reality you do nothing but sit on your high horse and boss people around. I mean, you're the one that decided to work here. Why not start your own daycare, and then you can make the rules yourself? No white babies allowed. Just imagine it. There's so much to unpack there. And also, in the statement that she made, like, I don't know if OP's an ally or not. It says, have they ever stated that out loud? I don't think so. Whatever, I'm not going to sit here and unpack the whole thing. They're the ravings of a lunatic is what they are. You've done nothing with your life, so this is how you need to see the world. I understand that. If you used even a fraction of that energy directed as hate towards others into something that would better yourself in your life, then you would do better. But yes, it's been made quite clear that she doesn't care about doing better. She cares about doing the bare minimum. I'm into slacking off a little bit, but come on, make sure fucking something gets done. Anyway, I took a sharp inhale through my teeth and attempted to count to 10. I'm more than happy to have a knockdown drag out with this legitimate porcine wannabe princess, but right now is not the time. Yeah, think of the children, not in front of the kids. Exactly. Instead, I simply ended the conversation with, "That's not being a very good friend," and continued on with my task. Tumblrina wasn't quite ready to let it drop, however. A good friend would be an ally to communities in need. A good friend would understand that I'm not as capable as someone with thin privilege. In privilege. A good friend would allow me the time and space I need to express myself, and I let out a sharp laugh and cut her off. Ha! Your form of self-expression is eating the food that is set aside for the children that you're supposed to be in charge of. You are literally, I was gonna say something along the lines of a pig monster or the worst employee we've ever had, but the realization had dawned that she wouldn't respond to coercion, so I went a different way, and I kept my fingers crossed that it would work. You're literally so right. It's really difficult to keep this figure. I only do it because I'm forced to. For men. Yeah, see, put yourself on the same side. See, aren't we in the same box? You really want to be in that box, OP? It probably will get her to do what you want because she's seeking, like, any drop of social approval. But then, you know, you have to be friends with her and... can't do it.
You dirty pig! Get out!
Tumblrina rolled her eyes. Men are so disgusting! They can't appreciate a full-figured woman! She hoovered up that drop of social approval, didn't she? She hungry. I nodded and told her, yeah, to get our minds off of it, let's set the table. But not for men, she said. We're doing this to prepare a feast for our own sapphic goddesses. Petey piped in. What's a sapphic goddess? Oh, great. Choice phrases headed back home. You're too little to worry about that, kiddo. We're actually setting the table for my favorite people in the whole world, and that's all of you! And I began to playfully chase the kids around the table until they jumped into their seats and shouted, Safe! You better be careful, OP, making kids run around like that. They fall down over nothing.
Name is Flash.
It was a sweet moment. We have a lot of those, to be honest. I glanced at Tumblrina to gauge her reaction to the entire situation, and she was looking around the room like something had crawled straight up her gargantuan barrel of an ass and died. What was it? A rather large animal to fit in a barrel. That's not like a skunk or a possum. That's a small-sized donkey or a capybara. She's got a capybara up there. I smiled sweetly and asked Tumblrina to sit, and she attempted to excuse herself for the 20th smoke break of the day. Not today, bitch. I think we've had enough of that for a while. You should really participate in the job that you came here to do. This, of course, led into a tirade about how evil capitalism was and how the means of production should be given back to the people. I think you'll find that the people don't really know what to do with it. You can ask Pol Pot about that one. Tumblrina said that by stealing hours, she was fighting against the capitalist system that made her life such a living hell. You're the one that made your life a living hell. Perform a function you enjoy with gusto and be paid for it, and like your life can be pretty cool too, you know? But she just doesn't want to play ball. I'm sorry to say, but that's a really hard way to go. Ramtide found that out. I have always been willing to play ball in the name of my own comfort. YouTube told me not to say fuck in the first 7 seconds, so I don't say fuck in the first 7 seconds anymore. You just gotta play ball. It's fine. OP says, I know Red loves Peep Show, so I'll use one of my favorite quotes here. It's only by the miracle of consumer capitalism that you're not lying in your own shit, dying at 43 with rotten teeth.
And a little pill with a chicken on it is not going to change that. Now, come on. Fuck off.
It doesn't quite apply because that's like, Mark after a night of supposed twacking. But he is right at the end of the day. It's not a plan to keep you all in little boxes. Consumer capitalism's pretty fucking rad compared to anything else that I could consider. The problem comes when government regulation oversteps its boundaries. Never mind, it's not for this video, it's fine. Thank you for the Peep Show reference. OP says, I guess we could change out the designer drug chicken pill with a smoky plant-based poison. Oh yeah, that's a good analogy. I think then it sort of works. Anyway, the point remains the same. I refused to let her leave. I explained that we had children that we were in charge of, and that if she wanted this job, then she'd need to pull her own weight like the rest of us. What do you mean, pull my own weight, you skinny little? Suddenly the front door opened and coworker walked in. Hey everybody, brought y'all some lunch. Hey, that's a new character. And I hope it actually was interrupted, that she didn't say any bad words in front of the little kids. More choice phrases going home. Driving little Petey home and he's like, that bitch was a sapphic goddess. What did you say?
Watch your mouth, young man.
Thank God that the cavalry had officially arrived with pizza. Yeah, we do pizza parties. Why not? It's a happy Monday, everybody. It's still Monday, right? The room erupted with applause from a myriad of little hands, and the conflict that Tumblrina and I were embroiled in seemed to have been put on pause, at least for a moment. Now, my coworker is a white man. He's gay, but not all that flamboyant, so most people can't tell and don't bother asking. Tumblrina took personal offense to this series of events, of course, and she started again with her ranting. Why do white men always have to be the saviors of the universe? Give me a minute. We were fine before your pizza, and we'd be just fine without it. The only way I'd ever accept a slice is if you offered it, along with an apology for 500 years of oppression. Sorry. We good? Actually, a slice isn't enough. See, this is always how it goes. It's never going to be enough. It will never be enough. And I want to clarify that I'm not targeting any specific group of people aside from the takers. The takers know who they are. It's all bullshit. Be a giver. But don't give to the takers, see? That's not great. Then they start expecting things, and if you feed them, they'll never leave. So what do you want aside from a slice, Tumblrina? I want my own pizza and a 2-liter Pepsi and some wings. Oh, and some buffalo wings sound really good too. Are wings and buffalo wings different? Also, do they have those crazy breadsticks with the garlic sauce? Drool.
The only word for it is...
So, that's the only apology I'll accept from you, you oppressive colonialist capitalist. Coworker turns to me with a look of, is this for real right now?
Who the f*** starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
She's angry that the pizza has arrived? I would think that she'd have really the inverse opinion of it, but then again, she's got a belly full of 40 boxes of animal crackers, ain't that right? She probably ate the Mr. Potato Head too. Is it still sitting out there in the street? Just never mention it again. Sorry kids, it's gone. I know you liked it, but it's gone forever now. So yeah, what is Coworker going to do? Coworker turned to me with a look of, is this for real right now, on his face, before turning back toward Tumblrina and letting loose his own retort. Gay men are catty, true, but Coworker's on a completely different level. Directness and occasional savagery was one of the things that we agreed upon despite our differing political alignments. As far as I can recall, he said something along the lines of, you couldn't eat the way that you do without corporations being forced to victimize entire nations on behalf of her royal largeness. I guess I should just be grateful that you didn't eat one of the children yet. I looked around and the kids were clearly shaken up. Petey held my leg and whined, is Miss Bluehair going to eat us? Maybe. I'm not gonna let her, but she might try. It's funny, dude. I patted his hand and said, no, of course not. Mr. Coworker's just probably tired from carrying all that pizza. We should sit down and have some. Yeah, that's what you do with kids. Redirect them. Oh, you're throwing a fit over bullshit that doesn't actually matter? Well, here's something different. And they're like, oh, different. Works my 2-year-old, works my 6-year-old. I know what I'm talking about here. With that, Coworker and I took to doling out the grease cheese and cardboard dough with sugar water before turning to Tumblrina. What's the sugar? You're not feeding these kids sodas, are you? Do you do that? Oh, God. This has got to be like a daycare in the deep south. Just see a baby walking around with nothing but a diaper on and a bottle full of Pepsi.
Lois, I'm about to drink my first soda. Better come stop me.
Anyway, when the distribution was completed, OP turns to Tumblrina, who was again doing her best to supervise this process, and I said, you and I need to have a talk outside. Coworker, can you handle them for a few minutes? He nodded with a mouthful of plasticky pizza, and I opened the door, ushering Tumblrina out into the front yard. On her way out, she attempted to rummage through a pizza box on the table, and Coworker pinned it shut with his free hand before pointing out the door with his cheesy triangle. That's wonderful. The meaning is probably like you get pizza after the meeting, but I like to infer like, no, you've had enough pizza forever. You don't get to eat this anymore. Once we were outside, I would have liked to have fought her. Right then and there, just pound her stupid fat face into a bloody pulp, not completely dissimilar to saucy pizza dough. Hey, you really are fed up, ain't you? Women don't usually jump to physical violence. Then again, if there's something that needs to get done, women will do it. And if the thing that needs to get done is physical violence, and a man won't do it on their behalf, then... yeah, that's how that cookie crumbles. OP says, I took a moment to collect my thoughts before saying, do you understand why whatever brand of politics you might have shouldn't matter in a place like this? That's so true, dude. Oh my god. Compare this to something like School of Beards, where everybody's vying for the children's minds. Thank God it has to wait a few years before they get into the public school system. It's neither here nor there, I guess. She looked at me like a toad that just had a bong rip before replying, "Can I smoke a cigarette?" No, goddammit. This creature wasn't going to hear me regarding politics, but I continued on with my point. It's because these kids are here to learn the basics. Whatever you believe outside of this place doesn't matter. You'll leave it at the door when you show up in the morning. Teach the kids about colors and shapes, play some Legos, provide a stable environment and a friendly face. And yeah, this is the greatest job in the world. You have a great opportunity here, and instead of focusing on the children that you were hired to watch over, you're constantly jonesing for a snack or a cigarette like every 10 minutes. I like this approach. Instead of punching, we're like trying to talk her around, but yeah, I don't have high hope. You might be wasting your breath right now. The heavy-lidded, dull-eyed stare continued as she slowly reached her hand into the blown-out band of her yoga pants for a familiar rectangular package. It was partially comical to watch someone presuming everyone's vision is based on movement, like hers clearly is. I also partially seethed so hard that I wanted to make good on my pizza dough power fantasy. As soon as the pack of cigarettes appeared, I slapped them into the grass. There you go. There's the escalation. Day 1 and we're already seeing some bloodshed. Well, not yet, but soon. Slapped them into the grass and eyeballed Tumblrina hard. We do not smoke on or near this property, I said, my voice dripping with venom. Yeah, light up, I dare you, bitch. I do believe that OP would punch her in the mouth over it. She was gawping for a moment, sort of like a fish out of water. Yeah, she didn't expect the physical violence. She thought she could get away with it. Nobody's ever truly taken her to task, but OP, you might be the chosen one. I could see her crusted and caked CPU attempting to calculate her next move. I bet she doesn't even make the funny clicking sounds like computers do. She just drools on herself. Of course, she really only had one move that I can recall. "Stop oppressing everyone around you!" she sputtered. Yeah, it's all about oppression, that's it. It's the only 3-syllable word she knows, and by God, she's gonna use it! I have been nothing but kind. I haven't judged you for your looks, despite your demeanor, and I've attempted to keep things civil and professional. I spoke sharply, but still in a professional tone. We were both still relatively quiet at this point. "You judged me immediately," she whined. "When?" "You came looking for me in the kitchen and blamed me for eating all the cookies." Her whining grew louder. I raised my voice to match hers and spat out, "The kitchen was one of the last places I looked, and you deserve the blame for eating all the cookies because, duh, you did eat all the fucking cookies." Don't curse for the kid. They can probably hear you in there. No, not like this, OP. Then again, she pitched a Mr. Potato Head across the yard, so I'm not too hopeful on the control of one's temper. We were both at full volume now, but I'm not going to type it in all caps. Yeah, and I'm not going to scream it either. Tumblrina continued the gaslighting. It was probably one of the little snot noses sitting in there eating all the pizza! I was incredulous. How dare you speak about them that way? Every last one of them is a better person than you could ever hope to be. They ask for help because they don't know any better. You demand help because you feel entitled to it. Her mouth started flapping again, no words coming out. I don't blame her. The truth can be a hard thing to process sometimes. And you were telling her the truth, 100%. If she has to get burnt to the ground in order to burn her lesson and build herself back up eventually, then so be it. Sometimes this is for the best. Sometimes a little tough love goes a long way, you know? OP says, seems like verbal jousting's a bit tougher in real life, eh, piggy? Because she's always arguing on Tumblr or message boards. I came in for a death blow and brought my voice low again. You can't stand the thought of anyone succeeding on merit because you have no fucking merit. You haven't sat with yourself and your thoughts long enough to even consider what your merit might be. Just the thought of it is enough to scare you. That's why you're always smoking and eating, isn't it? To try and run away from the demons that infest your soul. I see you for what you are. You have nothing inside of yourself, so you want to pull apart the beautiful things that other people have built. You can't appreciate innocence or beauty because you don't even know what the fuck they are anymore. You're a disaster. Get out of my sight. Damn, dude. Goosebumps. You kind of caught me with that one, too. There's a little collateral damage. Wow. Cut me to the quick.
Ow! That hurt! I didn't hurt you.
Yeah, you're right. I probably should sit with my thoughts a little more. A little dopamine detox, that ain't never hurt nobody. I noticed OP has not mentioned that they got on a phone or whatever even once. At this point, Tumblrina finally found her voice and a new angle because I added the word demons. She started up with, "You're just some religious nutjob that doesn't realize yada yada yada." I knew at least some of my words had sunk through. I could see it in her eyes. Yeah, you cut her deep. You cut me deep, dude. That's for real. I turned and walked away with a dismissive wave of my hand. Regard microaggression. She was still ranting, but I did make sure to say, we are absolutely done here. Which admittedly isn't me ridding myself of her on the spot. It won't hold up in a court of law, let's say. More on that down the road. Ooh, foreshadowing. Did you guys go to court? That's wild. At least for the moment, though, I had found a reprieve. I sat and ate some preservative-laden food product while coworker and I chatted about nicer things with the children. There were questions about what Miss Science and Miss Blue Hair were yelling about. Petey said it sounded like when his dad gets home from work. Coworker and I exchanged a worried glance, and then we talked about double plus extra nice things. It's terrifying, dude. I hope Petey is okay in his home life. What the fuck? We had to wheel out the elves and leprechauns and unicorns, but eventually the kids were sufficiently full and distracted, and it was just about nap time. So we closed all the curtains and turned the lights down as the kids grabbed their cots. Nap time is really just gossip girl time, especially today. I filled coworker in on the argument and how I'd told Tumblrina to go home. He immediately started peeking out the windows and then turned back to me with that little smirk that gay dudes tend to get when they know something that you don't know. It's the weird feeling of secret power. Except I knew exactly what that meant, and I rolled my eyes as I huffed over to look out the curtain. The Astro van with the BBW anime collage was still out there. Why isn't she going home? What the fuck? Coworker said, 1, 2, 3, not it, and touched his nose, which is a thing that he does, and I usually let him get away with it, but not this time. I had dealt with the beast all day. I'm not going out there to face that creature again, I declared. Give me one good reason why, he demanded, and I sheepishly admitted that I had thrown a Mr. Potato Head at the van earlier that day. He laughed, and we joked about doing it again or walking out there to menace her with a Mr. Potato Head. Yeah, you gotta keep the eyes on. That's the most menacing part. In the end, we decided to just leave her to her own devices and somehow learn to enjoy our new smoke machine. I mean, it lets out a lot of smoke for a person, but I don't think it lets out a lot of smoke compared to a smoke machine. You gotta step your game up, Tumblrina. You wanna keep this job? She doesn't care. OP says with our new smoke machine, we could maybe start up an electro two-piece. Lady and the Bitch was a heavy favorite. Of course, you have to say the last part with just your mouth because little ears are always listening. Oh, they really are always listening. Eventually, nap time concluded. It is a really short 30 minutes, and I agreed to make a snack run while coworker oversaw the wake-up activity. I'd go buy carrots and celery, maybe a little ranch. Not too much, though. Don't want them turning into little tumblerinas. As if she could ever truly be little. Speaking of, I didn't need to pass by the human smoke machine, but she must have been paying enough attention to spot me. Uh-oh. I didn't even really notice because I was on the clock and on a mission. I bolted in, grabbed my supplies, and stepped outside to see the D-Gen mobile lurking the parking lot around 2 cars away from mine. I sighed, but stayed on task. Tumblrina had opened the gigantic sliding double-thick booty side door, and she beckoned me over. And OP is big brain, so she says I shook my head and said, kids need snacks. If you want to talk, then I'll be at work. Sure enough, when I pulled up to work, she was right behind me. I had my mind set on getting rid of her. Coworker would back me up, but would Big Boss? Maybe. Big Boss was a very soft and forgiving person. Part of me knew that we'd be forced to, quote-unquote, give her a chance. And I really didn't want to do that, but yeah, I knew. I've been here long enough. I knew. I mean, it's Big Boss's money she's throwing away, I guess. You want to feed a bottomless pit? You go right ahead. Tumblrina yelled something about an apology. Didn't matter if it was delivering one or demanding one. Yeah, it was definitely demanding one. I guarantee you that. I dashed across the street with groceries in hand and burst in the door. Okay, second snack is here, and also Tumblrina's coming in to say sorry to all of us, and the kids let out their responses. I don't like Miss Blue Hair. This is first snack, Miss Science. She should be sorry. I really like those cookies. The peanut gallery of kids is written really well. Coworker and I exchanged the usual glance that means, them kids ain't lying. And I went to do prep, while coworker sat all the kids down. About 5 minutes later, the door opened because, of course, the human smoke machine would need to suck down another death stick before attempting to avoid even more consequences. I could hear Tumblrina's thunderous steps waddling toward the kitchen area. Soon the smell of celery and carrots faded, only to be replaced with the thick stench of stale smoke and failure. Again, this is collateral damage. You cut me deep with this, OP. She stood there, her girth blocking the doorway, looking like she was about to deliver the world's most insincere apology, or perhaps demand another tribute in the form of snacks. These snacks ain't for you. We can fight to the death over it, we can. I could hear the kids giggling and whispering. I wanted to get them fed, but first I stared pointedly at the behemoth blocking my path. Say something or move, please, I growled. Tumblrina opted not to say anything for once in her miserable life, and she moved her gigantic frame aside. Tumblrina followed me and did her supervising, which is to say that she didn't say or do anything. The kids were chattering around the vegetables in their mouths. They seemed none the wiser to the awkward, looming presence of the ever-watchful, glaucoma-laden eyes. The hell is glaucoma? Glaucoma is a chronic progressive eye disease caused by damage to the optic nerve. One of the major risk factors is eye pressure. An abnormality in the eye's drainage system can cause fluid to build up, leading to excess pressure that causes damage to the optic nerve. From Johns Hopkins Medicine. So yeah, I guess if you're fat enough, the fat presses against your eyes or something. That's good. I learned that today. Trace amounts of science. And I also love the phrasing. Ever watchful glaucoma-laden eyes, because they can't see. Coworker and I talked some more with our eyes, and I could tell it was up to me to pry that oyster open. I'd built such a rapport with her, after all. Once everyone had a plate, Tumblrina smashed her giant ham hocks together in what us humans would call a clap. It was seriously super loud, even to the kids. We all jumped and then stared. "Miss Bluehair has something to say, everybody," she began, and we all waited. "Vegetables are meant for rabbits and horses."
Eat your vegetables!
Oh my god. It's only good for old people, but you kids shouldn't be eating. Coworker and I both stood to quiet her, and she made a really quick turn into, and I'm really sorry for not being here today. I've just been really busy, and it's not a great thing on the first day of work, but I really do just have so much other stuff going on right now, she concluded, and I raised an eyebrow. Coworker shrugged and said, "Yeah, I suppose we did get off on the wrong foot. Why don't you sit down and have some delicious vegetables with us and tell us about yourself? We're always happy to meet a new friend." I could sense the sarcastic tone, but perhaps Tumblrina didn't. She sat. When offered a plate, she said, "Ew, no thanks!" And my jaw dropped. Coworker managed to keep pace, replying with a snappy, "Oh, that's really good manners. I appreciate that." Petey broke the tension in the air by asking for more ranch. I doled it out and told the kids to finish up so we could enjoy some more outdoor time. I guess when Tumblrina hears the word outdoors, she has to go light up. I'm not sure if it's MK Ultra mind control or what, but she quickly stood up and muttered, "Oh, I'll be right back," before speed waddling out the door. She definitely is a Russian experiment of some sort. That much we know. There were a few minutes of peace as we prepared for outdoor play. I poked my head out the door and took a sniff to determine if there was poison in the air, but there was none. So I stepped into the yard and took a survey for the eyesore of a vehicle, and it was nowhere to be found. Coworker let the kids out in the yard, and Petey ran up to me asking, "Where did Miss Bluehair go?" I told him I wasn't sure, and he said, "I hope she stays gone." Petey's a real one for sure. Me too, little guy. Me too. But I didn't say that. I just guided him toward the water toys that he enjoys playing with. The rest of the day was buttery smooth. Business as usual. I told Big Boss about everything as the parents came through for pickup, except the flying potato head. I should not have done that, especially in front of the kids. Yeah, that's our little secret, don't worry. Big Boss said the van was unacceptable and that we'd need to work with Tumblrina and find acceptable conflict resolution strategies and compromise and blah, blah, blah. I knew it was coming, like I said. You work 10 years, you do know somebody that well. Boss is a bit of a pushover, so it's good to have somebody as like the right-hand woman that doesn't take any bullshit and will fight for what they think is right. Unfortunately, yeah, Boss is the one in charge, so we gotta pretend to be a pushover for however long the conflict resolution strategy takes. All of this meant that we were stuck with Tumblrina until at least Friday. It was going to be a very long week. Yeah, 2 parts and we're only through Monday, jeez. But I'm kind of digging that, you know? Tumblrina doesn't seem that bad. She disappears a lot of the time. Even when she is forced into the room, she's basically quiet unless somebody asks her to do something, and then she hits you with all the Tumblerisms. It probably does lead this series to be a bit more politically pointed than I would normally go for. But I don't know, changing days, changing times. If this was in the range of 2012 to 2016, like I said, Tumblrinas ran rampant. Now you're sort of seeing the arm swing back the other way. But OP doesn't seem super right-leaning, you know, just sort of a base centrist like the rest of us. I think that's the way to go through life. I can't tell you how to live, but that's the way I've chosen to go through life. Even if sometimes I do piss off people on this side or that, it's fine. It's just me, take it or leave it. Some people decide to take it. Some people still sticking around years after the fact, so thank you guys so much. Even if you're new here, I want to thank you as well. And I'd also like to ask you to join my Patreon or my YouTube membership so we can get some consistent money out of you every month. One of your dollars is equal to like 55 pesos or something like that. Now that's good value for money. Drop a super chat. Why not? There's also the fourth wall if you need some merch. If you don't want to do anything monetary, I mean, you could like, comment, subscribe on the video. I'd appreciate that. And even if you don't want to do that, even if you hated the video, too late, got that watch time, yeah. Thanks so much. I do just appreciate you watching this far. The only thing that could be even better than all that is clicking another video and watching that one to completion. YouTube really loves to keep you on the platform, is what I'm saying, so you might could help me out with that. Anyway, I appreciate you guys no matter what you decide to do with the rest of your day. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye. I'm pretty sure it's part of your job to help us. Please come and do it. Now. Yeah, that good old parent voice. Bob, shut up. That's the one.